who's with dSPACE, not Deep Space, dSPACE, and her work focuses on generating synthetic sensor data under adverse weather conditions for the automotive domain with the goal of enhancing the robustness of perception systems. And today she presents her work on synthetic data generation for adverse weather conditions using CTRLorALTer with deep control.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So, hi everyone, I am Meghna Prabhu from dSPACE, and I did this project in dSPACE did this project in collaboration with nxtAIM. nxtAIM majorly focuses on generating foundation models for autonomous driving applications, and this project is mainly to aid the robustness of these foundation models. So, what I focus on is generating synthetic data in adverse weather conditions. So what are the most prevalent problems in autonomous perception these days? So one thing which is very prevalent, I would say, is the suboptimal performance in the adverse weather data set. Here we can see the a research paper which presents the impact of the adverse weather data set. For example, the YOLO V5 vehicle detection, and the dip in the performance during night and the good performance during the day. So we can see that how this vehicle object detection task underperform in adverse weather data sets. This mostly happens because of the poor visibility during the night and fog and snow conditions. And so what can we do to improve this? If we train our models on a huge amount of data in these domains, it would help really. But unfortunately, the data sets, publicly available data sets present these days have imbalanced weather data sets. As we can see here, the weather distribution in these data sets are not properly balanced, and majorly, publicly famous available data sets like Kitty and Cityscapes barely even have any data in the rain and fog. So, and even the ones that claim to have adverse weather data sets don't have proper object annotations for them. So what do we do in these scenarios? You may say simulation, but unfortunately, simulation adverse weather data is challenging because it's a very complex and time-taking task. So just for your reference, the first one is how a car sees in a broad daylight as compared to the poor visibility in snow and rainy scenarios. So what are the methods and approaches present out there for generating synthetic data? There are a lot of methods. We can broadly classify them into two main ones. One is physics-based rendering, and the other is generative model. Now, physics-based rendering models are really good in preserving the structure of the data because they just introduce noise to show the rain or the foggy conditions. But unfortunately, they lack the realism in it. So taking a closer look in those photos, we can see that they are very successful in generating the rain data, but unfortunately, they lack the small realistic details like wet surfaces, say water splashes, or like refraction of light during rainy conditions. Now, as for the generative models, they are really good at preserving these small photorealistic effects. But because of the freedom, unfortunately, they sometimes tend to alter the image, the structural part of the image. Now, let's take a look at the adverse weather data sets present out there. There are two, let me just talk about the two main ones. One is WEDGE, which are the weather images which are created by prompting the DALI generator. We can see that all of the images are fairly good, but unfortunately, they do not have any object detections or object label ground truth reference for us. And the second data set is DAWN, and this is created by prompting Google, but it has a huge team behind it which has filtered all of the images, and yet it still does not have any ground truth object annotations. So what our main aim is to create an architecture such that we can already use the current publicly available data sets out there and somehow just style transfer or like transfer it from sunny domain to some other weather domain. And thus, we also preserve the ground truth. So we already have the ground truth. We are using the current available reference data, and we also intend to preserve the structure of the data. So the architecture we decided to go with is a stable diffusion with an adapter, and our inputs would be an image and a simple prompt, as simple as just like an automated driving scene in a foggy conditions or something like that. And the input would be a depth input from the MEDAS depth estimator. As for the adapter, we choose an adapter presented by, from a research paper by LMU, which is called the CTRLorALTer, which uses the main concept of LoRa. Now, what exactly is LoRa? So LoRa, the concept is to freeze the pre-trained weights and only train the change in weights. And this change in weight matrice can be decomposed into two smaller, lower dimensional matrices using the rank concept. So using this concept, let's now focus on our actual adapter, which is the CTRLorALTer. So instead of freezing the whole pre-trained weights of the model, this time we freeze the weight of one layer and decompose it into two smaller rank matrices. And then as for the control, we add an additional branch which can be seen in the image. And this transformation is added to the lower dimensional matrice, which the researchers have found is very good in regularization as well, and also reduces the complexity of the problem. And they have also found out that a very simple affine transformation is sufficient to incorporate and restrain the stable diffusion with this depth. So for the initial proof of concept, we decided to just train the model on the night data and input a day data and try to convert it into night data. It shows reasonably well images with good conversion to night data, preserving all of the lanes and the structure of the road and the object placements, which are the three main important factors for all the perception downstream tasks. After this, we extended our experiment to all of the domains. So now we input a depth input with multiple prompts, so snowy, fog, rain, sunny, and the generator successfully inputs all of them. So these are some of the examples from our test data set. Which is the same distribution as the trained data set. So for the training of the data, we used ACDC, a combination of all the publicly available data sets, so the ACDC, Dark Zurich, and BDD. And for just to check how well the model can generalize, we also inferenced it on the dSPACE data set, which was not used during training. Here also it showed fairly good outputs, but I would say with minor faults, showing the future scope. But yeah, it has really good generalization capabilities on other automated driving data sets. Now let me talk about the three main failure points during the training. So one was, which was observed in a lot of night data, is a refraction of lights. There were some refraction of light, like non-realistic refraction of light, like you can see in the first image here. And secondly, sometimes in the edges of the image, you can see some clarity issues. And unfortunately, the model could not produce a human or a motorbike. And lastly, in rare cases, it has also hallucinated some objects here and there. For conclusion, finally, as a concluding my presentation, So in this work, we have presented the feasibility of generating annotated synthetic data for the autonomous adverse weather scenarios. And as for the future work, we intend to improve some depth estimators and experiment with the synthetic data majorly. So basically try to implement, to use these synthetic data in other downstream tasks, for example, object detection or lane estimation, and see how they have improved in the adverse weather data set domain. So yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, my team, and also my colleagues present here.
Thank you, Meghna. A lot of pictures of cars. I enjoyed this quite a bit. Do we have questions from the audience? I do have one. Mm-hmm. Which weather condition is the most difficult for the model to generate? So did you observe, or are they all equally as challenging?
I would say all of them have particular problems. So, for example, the night data has problems just with the light, as you saw. The second issue I was talking about the clarity, is usually just observed in the foggy data set. Mm-hmm. So it's like minor issues in each of them.
But it is always sort of similar issues with a similar weather.
Yes.
Okay, fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one question here.
Yeah. Thank you for your presentation. Why didn't you use the style transfer from Alex Ecker paper? Because it has less hallucination and also it's faster.
Which paper, I'm sorry?
The style transfer, Alex Ecker 2012, I think, or 13.
Actually, I have read papers which have tried just style transfer, but we do not have a large data sets with adverse data already present, so it was difficult for them to implement that. So the initial generation of these data was required. So,
okay, thanks.
Further questions? Yes.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. So small question, have you considered 3D generation tools like Blender maybe for having synthetic data?
No, I have not personally experimented with any of the 3D tools yet.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no further questions, thank you again.